Do you think life is simpler as time evolves? For some, it can be more complicated when facing issues about health, estate plans, probate, long-term care, and more. That's why Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell hosts ElderTalk with TuckerAllen, providing intelligent answers for those thinking about their future. Here's Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell.
Welcome to another episode of ElderTalk. This week we want to be sure and circle back on an event that we've been talking about we talked about it for this time last year. We talked about it this year also.
In April.
So we have a big event coming up, which is appropriate. All the talk about the Olympics. Yes. That you cannot attend or you can participate in, but you have to be really, really good and you got to be willing to fly to Tokyo. So we have a better solution for you. And some of you have already figured out that we're talking about the Senior Olympics. So we have here a representative of the organization that is probably one of the oldest and most prominent Senior Olympics locations and sponsors in the country. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, that is absolutely true. We are one of the largest regional games in the immediate area as well as the country. We are one of the oldest as well. The games were created in 1980 as a celebration of the Jewish Community Center, which is the sponsoring organization, the organization that puts on the games to celebrate our 100th anniversary in 1980. And what was going to be a one-time event, we're now celebrating our 41st year.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Reintroduce our guest here.
I will be happy to. Phil Ruben, the development manager of the Jewish Community Center. And Phil, I remember the last time you were on was back in April and we were having that weird winter weather.
Correct. Yeah, it was snowing,
Yes.
I think, when I pulled in the parking lot.
I remember now.
And now it's a little toasty outside. Perfect. It's St. Louis Senior Olympics weather now officially.
Right. Now, St. Louis Senior Olympics, of course, had to be modified last year because of the pandemic. It was held virtual. So this year, back in person, I imagine you're beyond excited. Am I right?
Not just me, but the athletes are beyond excited. The J is beyond excited. Our sponsors are beyond excited. We are ecstatic for the games to come back to the J, to the community, to really celebrate what the games are, is the camaraderie, the competition, the friendships that people see. People see their friends once a year at the Senior Olympics. And, what a year last year was, when it didn't happen, was sad. And, they're excited to see those friends again.
Right.
My concern is about attendance. There's a little bit of it's not fair to call it a surge, but this whole Delta thing, the Delta virus, for the most part, I know that Missouri's been getting a bad rap for this, but I think in the urban areas, like in St. Louis and Kansas City, I'd be very surprised if there's not a lot of vaccination and people taking precautions versus more rural Missouri.
That's correct.
But anyway, I wonder to what extent might that inhibit attendance? I mean, what are your plans?
Exactly. So I think, as you suggest, the majority of our people do come from the greater St. Louis metropolitan area, whether it's St. Louis, St. Charles, the other side of St. Louis and Illinois, where those numbers, where Missouri gets that reputation is more, in the middle of the state. We're on a very edge of the state. While we do draw people from 170 zip codes across the entire country, the majority of the people do come locally. We, will be taking precautions throughout the weekend. As I said earlier, we've done in preparation of the games when events used to be held indoors, such as tennis and pickleball, are now being held outdoors this year. Our expo, our opening ceremonies, which is usually held inside our gymnasium, has been moved outside this year. So, as science has suggested, outside is much more safe than it is inside. So we've taken those precautions to alleviate, some of the concerns. While there are, and will be concerns of those people that just don't feel right yet, that don't want to be in a large group setting,
right.
We have opportunities to still engage virtually this year.
Now, with all of the talk, we've heard on the media in recent months about the Delta variant. Was there ever, a conversation that maybe we should go virtual again this year?
Completely.
Not today. We are monitoring the situation daily. And, as we, if we could would have rewound, we'll say January, February of 2020 when, COVID was just coming in the news and it was becoming more and more, we were kind of just looking at it as like, what would it look like if, and at that time we delayed it to Labor Day, when it was supposed to be Memorial Day. Here we have a little bit more knowledge of what the virus is and what precautions we can take. A year and a half ago was completely unknown. We feel confident we'll be able to host the games, and again, those people that have concerns don't have to participate, but can still engage virtually.
What does that mean, engaging virtually?
So what we did last year was encouraged health and wellness on your own. So what people did was they went out for a walk, a 1 mile walk with their family, and then they shared that video with us, and we shared it to our social media set. So we have a St. Louis Senior Olympians Facebook group that has grown, tripled its size since the virtual St. Louis Senior Olympics last year. So our virtual presence has grown exponentially in the past year of the virtual Senior Olympics. So, we're going to ask people to still, if they're not ready to participate, to still, go to your local track and field and throw the shot put, take a picture, tell us your results, and we'll share those with our group. In addition to that, of people doing things independently and sharing those on our own, the J is a state-of-the-art world-class fitness center. We've in the past year and a half, we've engaged a virtual membership. So we have virtual group exercise classes that will be shared on our social media channels. So people can, for free, even if you're not a member of the J, be able to log in and participate in a group exercise class with our instructors.
But still, though, in terms of the Olympics itself, those people will actually compete in person.
Yeah, if you are a registered athlete and you want to come and you feel comfortable coming, the games are completely in person. And to get a gold medal in that 50-meter track and field race, you're going to have to be at the track and be in person.
Now, do you have as many participants as you did pre-pandemic?
I think the J as a whole, or and any nonprofit and any organization is still recovering from 2 years ago. So our numbers are not where they were in 2019, but 2019 the J was surging. We were on a complete, incline. We were world class. We still are world class, but we were doing very, very well. Look, I mean, our business model completely changed when we had to shut down for 3 months. So we are still recovering from that. But I'm happy to report over 500 people are still registered with about 3 weeks of registration to go.
500 people. Now tell me what your record is, just for the sake of comparison.
Usually we have about 1,200 between 1,000 and 1,200 athletes. I will say that already 2 events which had large draws this year, we were not able to offer, unfortunately. One of them was Bridge. Is a Bridge, the card game.
I was going to ask, are you talking about cards?
Usually over 100 people participate in that. That is held at a venue that was not ready for us to come back yet for a large group setting.
Darn. So you had to cancel that because the venue?
Yeah, so the venue was, and they put on the event for us. So that was, they were not ready for, at that time for the games to come back. The second one is the tap dance exhibition, which is not necessarily a competition, but usually part of our opening ceremonies. That's over 100, I would say 99.9% females. There have been some males that have participated in the past that perform for the entire St. Louis Senior Olympics community. They were not dancing at their own studios yet. So to rehearse and practice, they couldn't compete or participate in the games because they're not even dancing yet in a group setting. And we had to make this decision when we went to print with our material a few months ago.
But still, 500 is not bad, us recovering from this pandemic.
What we've been through the last year.
So it's about half of what you might normally have
it's still
been.
Coming together. And again, this isn't the drop. We're not done yet. The people are still signing up.
Oh, they're still signing up. So we can assume. So whenever you say.
To date, there are 500. As of this moment that we're sitting around this table, there are 500 people that are eager to participate in the St. Louis Senior Olympics.
All right, and then whenever you said there was 1,000 to 1,200, that was who actually participated.
Yeah, in years past, that included the Bridge, the tap dancers. At the end of the day, correct.
So then, so you think maybe you'll pick up another couple hundred people?
Yeah, I think we will pick up another several hundred people that are going to participate in the games. I think
would be excellent.
Yeah, I think it says a lot for what the games are and what this program means to the community.
Yeah, and this is all seniors. When you keep that in mind, people who are interested enough to come out, at a time when some people are still hunkered down, not for scientific reasons, or medical reasons in my judgment, but just fear. Right. And yet you're going to that group that have been perhaps most concerned, and they're coming out in these numbers.
Right. Yeah, so 500 is really a good number.
That would be huge,
then.
But it's going to end up being 700 or 800, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, there's handfuls every day. Whether it's online registrations or physical mailed in envelopes every day. We get several hundred people are calling, and so it's encouraging, and again, it speaks volumes of what this program means to those athletes.
Now, are you requiring the athletes to be vaccinated and to wear a mask?
We are not either of those. I mean, we're not requiring vaccinations as of this moment that we're speaking of. Mask wearing, I don't. Those are in discussions, but as of today, that is not a requirement. Again, most of the events are outside, and the J, especially when the space is there, we have the ability. We have a large campus at the J where most of the events are held. The easy ability to social distance. If Joe and I are competing against each other in a football throw,
I want to see that.
Yeah, I could easily stand 6 feet back from him.
Sure.
There's plenty of room for distancing. But there are some people that are just more cautious than others that will still wear a mask throughout the weekend.
So you're not forbidding it. If people want to wear a mask, they can wear a mask.
Correct.
Something that makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm sure I'm missing something, and that's that. Why not simply have a requirement that people show evidence of a vaccination? I know that a lot of organizations regarding events are not comfortable doing this, and I really don't understand that. It's not inconsistent with freedom. One of the big complaints people have about the masking rules and all this controversy we're going through now is, there's this certain group of people who feel, this is not right for me to be ordered to wear a mask. So fine, if they want to wear a mask, they can wear a mask, but the point is they can be required to wear it if they go into private and to participate in things like this. Or they can even be told that, I'm sorry, you got to have a vaccine. But that would seem like such an easy policy to have, and one that I'm willing to bet that virtually all these seniors, I'm willing to bet everybody that comes to this, I'd bet $100 on it. And at 99.9%, maybe there'll be one or two exceptions, they'll be vaccinated. So when you have these people that are together, and however close, forget distancing. If they're all vaccinated, these rules you're talking about on Delta variants and that have happened in Massachusetts in particular, that breakout, whatever they call it,
breakthrough cases.
Yeah, but those issues all relate to spreading to somebody that's not been vaccinated. Most people don't know that. Right. They think that you're wearing a mask because if you have a vaccine, you might still get the virus yourself and get sick. You can carry the virus to somebody who's not been vaccinated and they get sick, but you can't carry it to somebody who's been vaccinated and they get sick. By sick, I mean hospitalization.
Right. I think, anyone can, again, I'm not a doctor, but I believe anyone can have the virus, but if you're vaccinated, you just don't get as sick.
Exactly. That's the point.
People that are unvaccinated that are taking up the hospital beds.
So you're going to be having an event where, of all people, I'm willing to bet, and I mean this, everyone will be vaccinated. Old people got in line first for the vaccine. It's these young people who are the anti-vaxxers, the people in rural Missouri that everyone's complaining about. So it's an incredibly safe event, but you wouldn't lose anybody, and you'd make people feel really good by simply saying, we're going to ask that you show us that you had a vaccine, because they all have had one.
Right. I mean, I think that's bold to say. I think, I think the stats are, I think they just said 70% of Missouri maybe, or 70% of St.
Yeah, but what percent of old people?
50 and over. Right.
Yeah, when I say old people, you're saying 50 and over.
Right. Well, for us, I don't want to call it the seniors old, but if you were a senior Olympian, you were 50 and over.
So, I'm just willing to bet that you wouldn't lose anybody.
Right. And I think people would definitely feel safer, but I know people have been in the office, and again, this isn't for politics, but who have expressed or shared that they are not vaccinated, nor will they get one, and have shared that the virus is fake.
Right.
So there are those people that will participate in Senior Olympics. So I don't feel as strongly as you do that as many people will be vaccinated. I do think the majority of people will be or
probably,
but there are some that will not be.
Will not be.
Yeah. Well, you may be right about that. I may have too high confidence in our seniors.
Right.
But if there's anybody that's crazy for them to not be vaccinated, I'll say that that's a shame, because if they're older, they really should be vaccinated.
I would agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
So this is an exciting event, and then among the events that are happening, where are most people signing up? What activities? For what activities?
Yeah, we're kind of seeing, our normal trend of participation. We have, over 100 people registered for our water volleyball competition. So that's, about 10 teams that participate in water volleyball down in Webster Groves. We have quite a few track and field athletes. And then, there's the people that do the field day events. I looked at the numbers today, the football throw for distance, the football throw for accuracy, the kicks, the other throws, and so it's the people that do the fun competitions, which is what Senior Olympics is about. Not just those events, but the shuffleboard, the badminton, the table
What about
tennis.
runners?
Potatoes? Track and field, is usually we get about 200 athletes for track and field. So, there's those people, are signing up. For the events that they usually do. We have we have the Principia as our track and field venue, Big River Race.
Oh, that's a great place.
Yeah, Big River is timing.
Yeah.
We have professional timing, and they've been doing some meets as the world has come back and have done safe track and field meets. So we are in a good position to have a very successful Senior Olympics.
So these events are spread out all over the area.
Yeah, we have about a dozen different venues. Most of the events, as well as the hub, is the J and Creve Coeur.
So unlike in Tokyo, you can have an audience, right?
We do. We need an audience. We also need volunteers. So yes, people bring their families. There's the volunteers, and the best part of it is as I've shared before, is the camaraderie, the athletes being the cheerleaders. More times than not, your competitors rooting for you to beat them, and encouraging success, in the competition.
So now in the age groups, you have how many different age groups?
It's 50 to 54, all the way up to 95 plus, and then each gender has its own.
Now, I think you told us last time you were on the show, the oldest athlete to participate was what?
I think a couple of years ago we had a 102-year-old do a washer toss.
I remember that.
And even so much so that in 2019 it was encouraged to us that people were living longer, healthier lives, and we stopped at 90 plus, and then the 95-year-olds were upset because they were competing with the young ones, and so we created the 95 and over category. So that's now our oldest one.
So there are 5-year groups.
Yep.
So then at 63, I would be with people 61 to 65?
60 to 64.
60 to 64.
Yeah.
So you'd be one of the baby groups.
Yeah, so it peaks at 65 to 69, so you're at like the second highest age group.
In terms of participation.
In terms of participation. It's a true pyramid. 50 to 54 inches up, and then 65 to 69 is the peak and it's pretty even. More males participate than females, but in terms of the pyramid, the peak of participation is the 65 to 69 age group for both genders.
That's interesting. And so the
I think last time I was on the show, you said you would do it, and we can talk about sponsorships in a second. But as the presenting sponsor, you guys do get complimentary registration. So I hope that they share that with you.
I would feel kind of obligated, wouldn't I? So now tell me on the running, what are the options? There's 100-yard, 200-yard.
Yeah. So running, there's a couple different walks. So there's a race walk and a power walk, which is about a mile. It's 1,500 meters. So a track is 1,600 meters. 400 meters is one lap. So it's just under a mile. So a race walk and a power walk is the difference between is how you have to walk. You cannot run, but it's how you bend your leg is the difference between the two. We have judges that will disqualify you if you do it incorrectly.
How you bend your leg. Oh my goodness.
The form of how the difference between a power walk.
Race walking it's difficult to do because you have to focus on how you're bending because you want to at some point start taking a light run, but you're not allowed to.
Right. You have to have like both feet on the ground at the same time.
Oh my
There
goodness.
are specific rules to how you do that. A 400-meter run, which is one lap around a track. A 100-meter dash. So those are the exciting ones, the dashes.
Yeah.
So a 100 and a 50 it's so inspiring to see these 95-plus-year-olds or even, the 80 to 84s sprinting, a straight shot down the track.
That takes a lot of power, too.
Yeah. 100-meter dash, a 1,500-meter run, which is just under a mile, 200-meter dash, 800-meter run, and then the 50-meter dash is the most exciting. That ends the day.
Now, those are all on the same day.
Yeah, track and field is one day. That's on Labor Day.
That's good. That would be good to certainly attend, but also to participate. I don't know that the 200 or the 100-yard dash is really that's more almost anaerobic, isn't it? Meaning that it requires more muscle than respiration or.
Right. I mean, it's a short sprint, but the 150 are, years ago when I was at the track and was, a volunteer and an event director for the track and field before I, got into the management level of the games, it was the most exciting, the most crowd-pleasing cheering and, arguably the most competitive, with just, it's inspiring to see, people, significantly my elder, running much faster than I could have ever run. Some of these people
impressive.
Are in tip-top shape.
Now, what do the athletes receive? Do they actually receive gold medals,
so we have,
silver, bronze?
So it's first through sixth place, so gold, silver, bronze medals, and then fourth through sixth get ribbons, and that's within your age group.
Right.
And for each event.
Okay.
That's pretty exciting. So how many people do you need in volunteers?
So we, require several hundred volunteers. So every event is run, track and field has an event director, but then, we have the professional timing company, as an example, helps run the race, but we have a starter, someone that helps, get the people situated at the starting line, the pit, if you will. We have event directors that run each of the field events, so not just the running events, but we have shot put, javelin, high jump, standing long jump, running long jump, discus. So we have event directors that run each of those events, and that's just track and field. So then you come back to the J, we have badminton, table tennis, shuffleboard, all the throws I spoke about, washer toss, cornhole. Each of those require a volunteer as the event director for that event, the go-to person. And then we have volunteers that help keep score, that help measure each, throw or what have you. We have volunteers that run the packet pickup for you to pick up your race shirt, your, event shirt and your goodie bag. People that are volunteers inputting the results. So, staff, runs, there's staff at the J, myself and my colleague Stephanie, as well as, supporting staff at the J. But, really the games could not happen without the support of sponsors as well as the volunteers that we require.
And you mentioned washers. That is something that's definitely unique to St. Louis.
Right.
Is that where that started?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Washer toss is, when I'm from Ohio, Cincinnati, and cornhole, I was told, was invented there, was on
well, I would believe that.
And when I came here, now it's much more popular, commonplace, cornhole is. But when I came here, I didn't know what washers was. I said, cornhole.
Nobody
and they
does.
said washers was the cornhole of Cincinnati or of St. Louis. And so, we brought cornhole to Senior Olympics several years ago.
I mentioned some other activities to get people a sense for how broad the range of activities
Sure.
are.
So, there's over 90 events that people can participate. So cycling, there's 4 different cycling races, 5 mile, 5K, 1 mile, quarter mile. There's a billiards tournament, horseshoes, tennis. We spoke about washers. Pickleball is very popular. And that's gigantic.
What is pickleball exactly?
Pickleball is, they say, well, I would disagree, but the quote is it's a mixture of badminton, table tennis, and tennis. It's on a badminton. It can be played on indoors or outdoors. Ours for the first time this year is outdoors at Dwight Davis down in Forest Park. But it's a oversized pickleball table tennis paddle, and you use like a wiffle ball, and you play on a badminton court.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
And so it's, in that regard, it's a mixture. But it's, people that used to play racquetball are now switching to pickleball. People that used to play tennis are now switching because it's much easier on the knees, and it has a growing population of, St. Louis, of senior Olympians age because of the less stress on the knees and the body.
Is it less demand on your knees or your lower body because the court is smaller, you don't run as much?
You don't run as much, yeah, correct. Right.
And you don't have to be this well-trained athlete to participate. I mean, you can go do it for fun.
Yeah, so we encourage participation. And even the non-sports, we have an art competition, and which is also going to be virtual. So we'll share all those pieces on our social media networks to give them publicity. But, there's painting, photography, there's all the different art competitions.
And who judges those? People who are skilled in those?
We have a judge that's, a former colleague at the J who is in the arts community and very knowledgeable about artwork and helps judge the pieces. And he's also a volunteer.
So this is a big organization.
Yes, it is.
So
Lots of activities.
Yeah, there's not, and there's, to answer your question, the track and field, the cycling, swimming, it definitely draws more athletic people, but there's also people that, do not, are not as athletic, but that,
don't have those type of athletic abilities,
but people that, can play shuffleboard, it's more of a, backyard game. Washer toss, you don't have to be, your high school quarterback, to do those type of events. And, the field day events, anyone can throw a football. If someone just throws it 6 yards, it's a standing ovation every time because we knew that you tried. And by being out there, you're showing that you care. You're showing that you want to live a healthy life. You want to, be healthy, age healthy, live well.
Right.
Yeah, and that's an important point. Is one reason I like to bring this to our viewers, and some of you may have guessed that TuckerAllen is a sponsor of this. You may not.
TuckerAllen is the presenting sponsor of the 2021 St. Louis.
Yeah, so we're big believers in it. But the point you just made is that there's direct physical benefit for participating. There's no obligation to be an athlete. There's a huge social factor where you meet people who are similarly minded. But it represents, and I think it's worthy of applause, is particularly in the upper brackets of people who are kind of resisting those natural forces to slow down and sit down and to become sedentary. Instead, they're saying, no, I'm going to go out and have fun and compete, whether or not I have a desire to win. I want to compete and have fun in a real supportive environment. And that's what's unusual.
A desire to live and not just exist.
Yeah. So it is a great statement when everybody that comes out and does that. Right. Because they're doing something that, quite frankly, most of their peers would not do.
Right. And I'll remind you, I think I shared this story the last time I was on the show. It's, Senior Olympics are important in so many people's lives. And, there were a couple stories shared, before 2019 or maybe before 2020 when we didn't have the games, but how the St. Louis Senior Olympics were part of, two people's cancer journey. One person specifically told her doctor, I need to throw the javelin at Senior Olympics. No matter what, I need to make it to Senior Olympics. And so, lo and behold, she made it to Senior Olympics. And she was not the greatest athlete in the world, but wanted to throw the javelin at Senior Olympics. And she was well enough to show up, but, the javelin was down a hill and she couldn't really get to the space. But because it was so important to her and so important to us, we brought the equipment up the hill to her, and she threw the javelin at the St. Louis Senior Olympics, and it was part of her, her motivation to get better and stay well.
What a great show of support. Yeah. That's really touching.
Yeah, and the fact that for some people, from some seniors, this will be the first they've gotten out and done anything with a large group. But it does make sense. I mean, you're taking all the precautions. You're outside. Right. So I would hope that you guys wouldn't see any need to restrict it at all. So is there any limit to how many can enter?
There's no limit. Again, based on what the numbers, every event is different. So billiards is indoors at a pool hall in St. Peter's, is totally different than, the washer toss, which is out on an open field where people come in at different times, based on your age group tournament. So it just varies event to event. But, we are, fortunate to have the resources, facility resources specifically, to spread out and do things safely. But again, we're monitoring the situation every day. I mean, you don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow or what, whomever is going to come out with some ordinance in a week or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about your audience, or rather the people who use the J most regularly, your members, I guess.
Sure.
I tend to think that a lot of the people I know who go to the J tend to be comparable to my age or maybe a little older, but I know you focus on families, young families too. What's your allocation in terms of people who are members and use the facilities? Is it predominantly people over 50?
For membership or Senior Olympics?
Not just Senior Olympics, but your facilities.
There's a big range. Again, we do have young families that are members because, they're members because we have an early childhood center. They're members because we have day camp programming, so they have a membership over the summer. Especially now in the summer, we have a great pool for a young family, so we have a lot of summer memberships that geared towards young families. Seniors, as you said, are there to exercise because they're comfortable with it. And, when we did open back up, we had several people just, commend us on how well we opened and how safe it is to work out there.
And when did you reopen?
We reopened in June.
So you were
this past June?
Yeah, 13, 14 months ago.
Oh, okay, a year ago in June. That's
okay.
But we were closed for about 3 months. Yeah,
you were closed for 3 months in 2020.
Right.
Since then, though, you've seen a little bit of reduction. You still are experiencing a reduction from your pre.
Yeah, from pre-2019 or 2019 and before. Yeah, people are coming back finally, especially with the summer. It got a lot of members back to the pool, especially when the mask mandate was lifted the first time. Again, I don't know where it is today, but in May when
still in court.
Yeah, when they lifted the mask mandate I think it was May. Giant uptick in members coming back, and even still, and especially in the summer now that the college kids are back in town, the fitness center is a little bit busier. So it's coming back. It's definitely coming back. But again, as a nonprofit, it's going to take a little bit of time to get to 2019 and before.
Yeah. I know that industry was hit hard.
Right.
And the fitness industry, Gold's Gym, I think, is gone.
I think a couple of them went under.
Yeah, whenever you have your whole customer base wiped out for months on end, which many did. I see that. So some people, though, I want to talk also about the fact that you all have these other events going on that many people don't know about. You have a speaker series in the fall. Yeah,
so the J has many lines of business. The one you're speaking of is within our cultural engagement. So the J also hosts a lot of cultural arts programs. Joe, you're speaking about the St. Louis Jewish Book Festival, which is a speaker series, if you will, which is going to be hybrid. So there's going to be live in-person events, as well as some authors that will speak remotely, virtually, that are engage in discussions and books that are either about Jewish things or is a Jewish author. And that's held annually in November. We have a theater, which we're excited to open back up in October. It's called the New Jewish Theater. We have a black box theater inside our facility, which a lot of people don't even know about. And we're excited to, again, offer live theater coming up at the end of this year.
What type of shows?
So we're opening up with a couple musical renditions that we're pretty excited about, and then some other, plays in December and through the first part of next year.
That's right up my alley.
Yeah.
So now this speaker, you and I were talking a while back. You're having this great speaker who was a dissident I think in Russia for
right. Yes. There's the opening keynote speaker was an Israeli ambassador or something. Again, I did not come with those notes.
I know, but this guy was really, he's real famous. He wrote his memoirs.
Right.
And many people, even when they hear his name, may not recognize him. But
Sharovsky or something.
Yeah, I think so. But what interested me is, and this guy's going to be there speaking.
Opening night is November 7th, I believe. It's a Sunday, whatever that Sunday night is.
So he helped push for Russia to start, for the Soviet Union then, to start allowing Jews to leave, to go to Israel. And for a long time, they closed the border. They wouldn't let them go. And so this guy was imprisoned. He became such a voice, and he suffered all these abuses, but he never relented on this position. And finally, ultimately, in large part through his influence, a lot of people were allowed to leave. And so he ended up in Israel, and he was a politician in Israel.
Right.
So he's a real interesting character, and I don't remember his last name either, but it interested me when you told me this person was speaking. Right. It's a shame we're telling the audience this and we can't give them the name.
I have to look it up.
But what site can they go to and look up these events?
If you go to the J website, jccstl.com, and if you search the Jewish Book Festival, you'll find the opening night speaker. But there's a slew of authors that are going to speak for that 2-week festival, from sports to cooking to arts to politics. There's something for everyone.
Yeah, I really like stuff like that because it's where you can go. You can have dinner somewhere, then you can go and hear a live discussion. To me, that's a wonderful evening, depending on if it's a good discussion. But in this case, even if you're not interested in Jewish history, as you said, it's also Jewish authors, so it can be on any
Correct.
topic.
Yeah, often, these are scholarly, knowledgeable people, and so, there's a good chance that one of the topics is something you'd have an interest in. So
Yeah, I know the festival brochure is being finalized as we speak, so it'll be available very, very soon.
And we can find that on the website.
Yeah, it'll be on the website when it's available. Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah, so I think
A lot going on.
Yeah, the J is a busy place. I mean, it's we call it the town square of the community. So, as Joe suggested, you can come in and do Senior Olympics, stay healthy, do sports, do recreation, work out, lay back and watch a theater show. We sponsor the Jewish Film Festival, see a movie or
there's a film festival?
There is.
Yeah, there's a Jewish, which was in June, so that's past. But yeah, so that was virtual. But in years past, it would be at the Plaza Frontenac Movie Theater.
Oh, okay.
really?
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
about a dozen films related to Jewish culture or history that is a program of the Jewish Community Center.
So is it the same thing, though? Is it like it could be a Jewish director or writer?
Correct, yeah.
And so it may or may not be about Jewish history? Or
Films are usually Jewish themed. The book festival and the theater are a little different, where has a Jewish tie-in, but not necessarily about
the topic's
right.
not necessarily.
So the theater, like Tuesdays with Maury was, it wasn't Jewish theme. I mean, the people, the playwright was Jewish, but there's
really,
yeah.
Y'all did that
A couple years ago. I liked that book and the show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those stories you're fascinated with, but it's still hard to pull yourself away from that.
Right.
That was for people who don't know, this was a professor who found out he had a baseball player, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Right.
And so this author of this book met with him regularly on Tuesdays, and he.
I think it was his college professor.
College professor,
It was his college professor, and they just stayed friends or reconnected.
And this man had a wonderful view on life, and
Right.
he talked about, with the knowledge that he was dying, it kind of gave a different perspective. And it's really, and some have argued to me, it's not depressing at all. But just to me, that the fact that the guy knows he's dying seems
Right.
tough. But I didn't know y'all did that.
Yeah. So it's a great place for, we touch the lives of people from 6 weeks old in our early childhood center to St. Louis Senior Olympians who throw the washer toss at 102 years old.
102 years old, yes.
So generation to generation.
It's amazing. These, so it's a wonderful program. So if people want to sign up, I guess they can go to the same website?
Yeah, the registration is open through August 20th. We encourage, again, there is something for everyone. The best, again, you can go to the JCC website and search Senior Olympics. Also, the direct website is stlouisseniorolympics.org, St. Louis, senior spelled out, olympics.org.
So excellent. There's time here. Is everyone should note your calendar. So we'll assume it's the 7th when you're watching this. So you have time to easily get registered for any of this broad range of events. So I'm going to be there. I don't know that I'll be on the field, but I'll be there for some.
I thought you promised me.
Well,
If he is, you've got to video it.
Right.
see, with lawyers, you got to get in writing.
But again, I do want to take the opportunity to thank Joe and the team at TuckerAllen for supporting the St. Louis Senior Olympics this year. The games would absolutely not take place without the support of our community and our partners. So thank you again for
Our pleasure. I mean, I'm a true believer in this, as you can tell. So we're happy to get behind wonderful programs like this. So, Phil, we will have you on in the future. We'll have you on sometime afterwards. We'll talk about how the event went and whatnot. Sure. And those who want to call rather than go online, I guess they can.
Yeah, 314-442-3164. Stephanie is the games coordinator, and she will help with the registration, answer any questions in regards to the sports or the events. But you can also call me anytime. I've been there for a long time. 314-442-3216.
Always a pleasure to have you on, Phil.
Yes.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
Good. All right. This has been another episode of Elder Talk. Till next time, take care.
You've been listening to Elder Talk with TuckerAllen, providing intelligent answers for those thinking about their future, with Attorney-CPA Joe Cordell. Sponsored by TuckerAllen, your estate and elder law advisors. For more information, visit TuckerAllen.com. Listen again next Saturday for another edition of Elder Talk with TuckerAllen. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.